How's it going, everybody? Got a match between Scarborough on Kislev up against RTK's Boss Toss on the Beastmen. And yes, you do see that right. You do see an elemental bear. This is actually the primary reason why Scarborough sent me this replay is because they said it was a fun match, and I believe, and because they brought the elemental bear, which is obviously worth obviously I gotta download it. I gotta watch it, gotta cast it, see what it's about, see if the elemental bear actually manages to do anything, because notoriously this elemental bear is horrendous in the land battle from what I've heard. I say heard because again, you don't really see it, and there has to be a reason why for it. I'm assuming it's very similar to the Kadai destroyer for the Kislev side. Slow, very haggard, takes forever to do any surmountable amount of damage. Does cause terror, which is nice, but in Dom it was much more useful when you could just heal blob it, go to like the Dread Saurian. But then they changed things around, made the Elemental Bear more like a demonic unit, and the fact that like it can go destabilized, to made it into like a net case, something like that, instead of being unbreakable like it used to be. Or actually, I can't remember yet. I believe both the Elemental Bear and the Frost of Winter, whatever it's called, Heart of Winter, both used to be unbreakable, and they changed it to demonic instability, or rather, quote unquote, elemental instability, which is essentially the same thing. And it definitely made them 100% worse in every imaginable way possible. Um, and that's probably why you don't even see them in Dom anymore. To be fair, they've gotten a lot better units since then. Since when Elemental Bear used to be a thing. But anyways, we're not talking about Dom here. We're talking about land battle. Let's see how it does. It does have that, of course, chilling aura. So pretty good at slowing down the Beastmen units, who have just obviously much better mobility and a higher amount of mobility than your Kislev roster. But we have a Ice Witch on a Frostworm, which is obviously very common nowadays. Just the staple choice, stuff like Pendant for the power recharge rate, Death Frost, just to basically slow down Spirit Leech, essentially. Lords and Heroes, whatnot. And we also have a Patriarch for, I'm guessing, healing. Solix Lullaby. Yep, just going to be healing up your your Cav, your Elemental Bear, your Mordheim Beowulfs if you really want to. You know, I guess mostly just for your Ice Witch and your Elemental Bear. Just going to be heal blobbing them up. But it's a pretty nice heal. It's going to be on foot, very cheap. Got some Kislevite warriors as well for the infantry. Some winged lancers and horse archers, as well as a 2, 3, 4 winged lancers. And I think these are winged lancers, yes. And quad horse archers. 1, 2, 3, I believe. There's 3. Okay. Yeah. You know, American counting. You know, gotta love that. We also have the Warhammer with Beowulfs as well. The ROR things in the woods. You guys know what these guys do. They have that dark blood tainted, reducing any incoming healing modifier, which is obviously not gonna matter against the Beastmen unless they like fight the Butchers of Kalkengard, slowing their healing and their regen. But otherwise, yeah, just pretty good anti-infantry mobile piece for the Kislev side to rival the mobility of the Beastmen. But yeah, we're going to go for a heavy winged lancer play. We'll see how that goes. We have Beastmen, Malagor, with just Flock of Doom, of course, Bestial Surge, and Unholy Power. For the rest of the army, it's just going to be whole massive Ungors. We have some Centigors as well. 2 being the Zinchian variant. We also have just base Centigors as well. And then we even have a Tuskor chariot, which is pretty cool. Hopefully that thing does well. Don't typically see chariots now nowadays, but rather haven't seen them in a lot of Warhammer 3. But they got changed recently, so hopefully these Tuskor chariots do good. We also have Centaurs with throwing axes as well. Just to, and it's going to be perfect for this match, considering just whittle down the Elemental Bear, if they so choose. Winged Lancers get a charge in on the Ungor Spearmen, but are going to try to back out as the Butchers of Kalkengard make their way over, and that's exactly where the Butchers want to be, is to be dealing with the Winged Lancers. That's their sole job. These Winged Lancers also get a charge into the Ungor Spearmen, but are being slowly dragged down and to be pulled out. We have the the Centaur throwing axes, which are getting some nice value. They're just shooting at the winged lancers, but in return, the archers are shooting back. One gets caught out by Sentis with Zinch, and it's going to be very bad for them, but they just proc there by our blood, so they are unbreakable for a little bit, but they're taking an insurmountable amount of unsustainable amount of damage. So even if they do survive for a little longer, thanks to that unbreakable, they are going to be routing immediately after that because they're taking so much damage. The Frostworm in there just hoping to slowly whittle down the Ungor Spearmen, possibly going to end up tearing routing those guys. We'll see. Wing Lancers do get caught out by the Butcher of Kalkengard, and one does end up routing as well, terrified. They will come back, hopefully. But meanwhile, the other one is getting slowly whittled down. But in return, the Ice Witch is here helping out with their anti-large. Elemental Bear is here, going to maybe possibly do something. We'll see. The Tuskor Chariot possibly getting a rear charge there on the Kislev Warriors, but it's fairly limp and they're not actually doing a whole lot. Elemental Bear is just kind of walking right next to them and not really doing anything. I guess move orders are trying to move past it, but somehow this gigantic frost bear is just struggling so hard to move past anything. But they are knocking over some Kislev warriors. The Rune Axes are getting some damage on it, just kind of just free value for them, honestly. Frostworm going to be aiding out on this fight against Centaurs with the Mordheim's Bell, whatever they're called. You know what I'm talking about, things in the wood ROR. Centaurs, the throwing axes are in melee, need to be pulled out so they can start throwing their throwing axes once again. Malagor has been slowly being whittled down by the Death Frost, so doing some pretty considerable amounts of damage, down to 2700 HP, a little less than half, I believe. He has like 5,000. Yeah, a bit more than half. But yeah, just slowly the Elemental Bear is helping win out the blob fight there, and that's exactly kind of what you use them with. The Flock of Dooms will obviously is there to punish blobs in return, but that healing will help turn things around. Winged Lancers do get a Select Lullaby along with the rest of these units, but they are down to 3 models, so even if they do come back, it doesn't really matter. The Kislevite Warriors are fighting back the tide of the Beastmen, the Tuskor Chariots, who have got up 46 kills here. Very nice, 533 gold value. Gonna be running over these Kislevite Warriors, making sure they don't come back. Some Sentis have come back, 14 models. They can help deal with the rest of these Kislevite Warriors who are running over, or bringing down these Questor Chariots. I didn't even know that there's 2 of them. Sorry about that. But Butchers of Kalkengard, I mean, they probably didn't expect a Elemental Bear here, but obviously that's not the big issue. I mean, sure, it's slowing them down to give the Frostworm time to catch up to them, but they didn't expect a double single entity to have to deal with just one. And I mean, unless it was another Frostworm, but that would have been even worse. So either way, they're having a bad time. They're down to 10 models left. They have plenty of room left to regen, obviously, as you can see their heal cap. But down to 10 models already is pretty tough. I say already as if it's not, 4 minutes into the match. Sentis get a charge there on the Horse Archers. Gonna try to shut those guys down, get rid of the missile fire left for the Kislevites, especially considering that's one of their only mobile pieces they have left, as the Winged Lancers have dipped out. And that is actually their only other cav piece left. The Winged Lancers probably are going to come back, but they only have 8 models. And so getting rid of their Horse Archers is going to pretty much shut down the entirety of the mobility of the Kislev side. So it's going to give the Beastmen free reign to dictate all engagements. Nice little breath attack there from the Elemental Bear, doing a decent chip amount of damage. What does that even mean? It does like 15% of damage there, which is pretty decent. Best you can ask for from the Elemental Bear. Elemental Bear is going to jump in there with the Ice Witch there and start possibly terror routing these Ungors, which is exactly like prime material to be terror routing, because Ungors just have the most abhorrent leadership, but they will always come back, just like skinks do whenever they get terror routed. But that is going to be the strength here for the Kislev side, is just single entities. We are not in a single entity meta, by the way. Yeah, these single entities definitely are not possibly going to win the game here for the Kislev side. No way. The Beastman side has so much advantage here with all their mobility and all these infantry and cav pieces here. But unfortunately, the throwing axes We do only have 6 volleys here and 3 here for the other one. Elemental Bear, I believe, has some missile resistance. No, just physical resistance of 25%. So it's mitigating a lot of damage from the throwing axes, fortunately. And then do we have another heal left from the Patriarch? No, we do not. We are all out of heals. My bad, I turned the camera around. But yeah, we're all out of heals. So it's just going to be, this is all Kislev has. For all we know, Beastmen could definitely win this. I mean, we still have, again, a few ammunition left for this Centicore throwing axes. And they're not going to be able to be chased down, as one unit has to be in fighting at the moment. And maybe the Kislev player probably doesn't, or Scarbrand probably doesn't consider throwing axes too big of an issue. Some of them are even obstructed. That's probably why, honestly. Probably because they're focusing on Eye Switch. I don't know. But I'd assume that you'd want to keep, like, say, the Elemental Bear here to beat down on the Centaurs, and just send the Frostworm in to disrupt the Centaurs, or the Patriarch over to disrupt them if they don't get body blocked, just to stop them from shooting at your Eye Switch. Because they've obviously, she's the most prone one to get killed by the throwing axes. But balance of power is starting to switch more and more in Kislev's favor. And I think that is pretty much going to be the end for the Beastman's side. Though they were able to sit there and just continuously shoot with those throwing axes. It just didn't matter at the end of the day. And oh, we missed our second possible breath attack there. I mean, I'm sure there was possibly another one I maybe missed, but I doubt it, because it's so easy to forget about the Elemental Bear's breath attacks, because it's a bear, you know. It's not like it's a dragon who have devastating breath attacks, which can be shot from up in the air, making it so much easier to use it, and also just much quicker with how the dragons turn around and how fast the breath attacks actually come out. So just easy to remember. And again, just dragon, bear, you know, it's obvious why you'd kind of forget. But pretty good match there. Hey, look at that. Elemental Bear. It makes sense, you know. Though it lost its Unbreakable a long time ago, a long history ago, it's still, you know, it's a single entity that causes terror and has a high HP pool. So if you don't get rid of it, or rather, if you don't do any damage to it early on in the game, or if it gets healed up, like it was getting a lot of heals from the Patriarch, it's going to be an issue in the late game. Even if it's possible to shatter because of that demonic instability, even if it's possible to force it to crumble, it's still a lot of HP to have to get rid of. It's still a lot of HP or leadership to have to deal with, because even though it doesn't have its Unbreakable anymore, it still has high leadership. So unless you like army lost them, you're not going to see that thing go into instability. And again, that 25% physical resistance there was really playing dividends as the throwing axes continue to throw volleys into them. These are specialized for dealing with armored targets, the throwing axes. They use them to shut down the Dread Saurian. That's pretty much your main ways of shutting down the Dread Saurian, as like the Coronate side, or even like the Beastmen, just throwing those throwing axes at the Dread Saurian and slowly whittling it down. But here, the physical resistance helped out tremendously there at the very end game. Obviously, their damage output was severely limited by the fact that they have lost so many models. But it's still, I mean, you saw like that HP bar barely even got tickled by those throwing axes. Again, though, there was some issues with the fact that they were obstructed for some reason, because, you know, obstruction is always an issue. Though, now I'm thinking about it, they were shooting at the Eye Switch. So, you know, take that back, kind of. Anyways, let's go to the damage values here. We got 2200 on the Eye Switch, and that's, again, no surprise. You're slowly whittling down Malagor constantly with those Death Frosts. It's less of a Spirit Leech and more of a, what's the one for the Skaven? You guys know what I'm talking about. I'll throw it up on screen, but I'm 99% sure everybody will know what I'm talking about immediately. Just any single entity specialized sniping spell. Spear Leech is obviously still counts, but it's just like a much. It's one of the other upper echelon ones where it's just like does tremendous more amounts more damage than the Spirit Leech, but obviously costs a lot more wins. But yeah, Death Frost is just it's very common nowadays because especially against like lower leadership factions like the Beastmen. Yeah, and especially if they have a flying lord like Malagor, which is never gonna land. So whom is never gonna land. Whomsteded is never gonna land. So the only way you can kill them or possibly wrap them off is by spell sniping them. And yeah, 2200 value there. Frostworm is a great mount, though I don't like it. I think it's very janky looking in terms of animations, and the fact that it's only really competitive because of how janky the animations are, and how one specific animation is really, really good. It kind of reminds me of Katarina's sled almost in terms of how janky it is, but Katarina's sled was just straight up broken, so we're not gonna talk about that. Either way, Frostworm is just obviously a very, very competitive mount nowadays, and will probably continue to be so for a good while, for good reason. 37 value on the Patriarch, as we, just got whole 5 kills. He put up a lot of work dealing with those beasts, and he was a terrifying menace on the battlefield. Definitely wasn't there just as a heal bot. What is my purpose here? You will heal the elemental bear, and you will like it. That is your entire purpose. Oh, 1203 value, 721, 995, and 1088. You are not a winged lancer. 1088 though on a Kislev wear is pretty incredible. You do not see that every day. But yeah, 985. Yeah, imagine being a Kislev wear and somehow managing to pick up more value than a winged lancer. But at 1203, yeah, winged lancers did good. Kislev wears not super cheap. I think they're 500 nowadays, but they're a very durable front line, and I'm going to hold back some of that Ungor Tide, which are not very great at chopping through infantry. Wing Lancers did great. You really got to challenge that mobility game against the Beastmen, because that's exactly where they're going to be able to pick you apart if you don't have anything to challenge that. And Wing Lancers are great at it. They're very cost effective, and yeah, just solid medium armor cav unit. 445, 303, 664 here. Obviously, again, one of the main issues was the Butcher of the Guard and the Centaurs of Zinch. So kind of just hard counter the Winged Lancers if you can catch them out. 366 on the Mordheim Bell. I always forget how to say these guys' names. Mordheim Beowulfs. It's just such a mouthful. But yeah, they didn't get a whole lot. I didn't even see them route off, honestly. I don't know what happened to them. I probably throw it on screen right here. What happened to them? They probably just got routed off by one of the Centaurs or the Minotaurs. 936 on the Mental Bear. That's funny. It lasted that long and really only paid for itself in value because of its terror and because of how much HP it still had left. It wasn't an actual damage or anything, which is no surprise. The Red Saurian, despite it being typically doing a lot of damage, it's mostly because of the howdahs on it rather than the actual Dread Saurian. The Dread Saurian does have a lot of damage output, but just like with any slow single entity, like the Elemental Bear, it kind of just overkills models and is very jank and sometimes just doesn't attack. It's mostly just the howdah that does a lot of the damage. But and then the terror routes from the terror bombing is where a lot of the value comes from. If it didn't have that, then you would not see the Dread Saurian ROR often at all. 1410 for Malagor, very good. Yeah, just spamming those Flocks of Doom, very competitive. Everything else, Tuskor Chariots, nothing too noteworthy. But I mean, it's a bunch of halberds, so not the greatest amount of choices. If there was a lot of like Kossars, which you, again, is another staple you see for Kislev, it's just a massive max Kossars. then that's where the Tusker Chariots would get a lot of value from, and Armored Cossars. But you're not going to see that here, at least not in this matchup for Scarbrand. You may see Cossars in other matchups against Beastmen, but I can't see why you'd see Armored Cossars. Maybe one at most, don't you? Anyways, everything else, we get 701, 1295 here for Zinch Centis, and 701 for this one. And yeah, they got some good value there, fighting winged lancers, even getting surrounds on the single entities and on rear charges on Kislev warriors. Throwing axes, of course, got good value. No surprise there. Unless you fumble the bag with them, they're always going to pick up some pretty good value. 1345 on this one. And 1292 on the Butchers of Kalkengard. Very nice. Yeah, just a staple. Makes sense. Typically what you're going to see. I will catch you guys next time with another one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.